Okay, I think I've given everyone about enough time to come in. Um, I am Lori Thornton. I'm on the Christian Periodical Index team. I serve as the retrospective indexing coordinator. I want to mention other members of our team who are here today. There is Carrie Beth Lau. She is the uh, chair of our team. Jamie Wilkes is here. He is our reviews editor. Robert Burgess is here. He's our special projects person. Sarah Wessel is here, and she is kind of an uh, executive editor or something like that. I don't know. Um, Also on the team are Jill Kend, who is our um, person who works with training a lot of people, and Doug Butler, who is our articles editor. So I just wanted to mention all of those. For each session that you attend, you are entered into a drawing for a $50 Amazon gift card. If you wish to receive CEU credit for the first three sessions of this, and there are four altogether, you must complete and submit an evaluation form by Friday, March the 7th. The way that we're going to proceed with the training, this first part today is going to focus on reviews. The part next week will focus on articles. The week after that, we're going to give you a little hands-on practice. And then on the fourth week, we're also going to open that to current indexers, and we're going to kind of give you some tips and stuff that will help with taking your indexing kind of to the next level. Um, so I'm going to turn things over to Jamie Wilkes, who is our reviews editor for this session.
Thank you so much, Lori. Well, hello, everyone. I am sharing my screen with you now. Hopefully you all will be able to see this shortly. Can everyone see my screen now? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thanks again for joining us today. It's my pleasure to be with you today. I love doing what I do. I'm sure I can speak for everyone else on the team when I say that we love doing this. This is our calling. These are my people. We love doing what we do. They say if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. That's certainly true for me for CPI. I've been doing this for, oh, 28 years now, I think it is, and I love doing it. So I want to start by talking about indexing reviews today for CPI. As Lori said, we're going to break this up over the next couple of Fridays. And what we're going to do today is take a look at Priscilla papers. So you may have seen in your email, we're going to look at a couple of different issues of Priscilla papers. I'm going to start today by looking at some things that we've already done. So this won't be something that you have to do. It's just going to be something that you can see how it has been done already. So at the top of this slide, I've got the link for the Priscilla papers page. You'll need that over the next couple of weeks. And then we're going to look now at this specific issue here, Winter 2007, Volume 21, Number 1. And there are two issues, two reviews in this issue. So I'll give you a second to pull that up on your computer. Hopefully you can get that pulled up. And if not, just follow along as we work through these slides here over the next hour. So we're looking at volume 21, number 1, and we're going to look at two reviews in this issue. First of all, this is the one by Carrie Torgeson Malcolm, Building Your Family to Last, reviewed by Kelvin Belfon. So right off the bat, I just want to say that this one kind of makes my eye twitch just a little bit because do y'all see something right off the bat on the cover of this book? Notice the author's name, Malcolm. And then notice right underneath here, and this is from the website of the journal, it's Malcolm. Well, what do you do in a case like this? So, as a former cataloger and now I'm a director, that's why my eye twitches because which one is it? So, we have to make a decision, and you'll see different things that have been done over the years in CPI. We try to do authoritative work authoritatively by using LC authorities. We also use OCLC WorldCat to verify titles, and we'll talk about that over the next couple of weeks, actually. We'll look at some different authority records. We'll look at some different WorldCat records as well. Okay, so that's one thing right off the bat, and it's like, oh, which one is it? Because see, they spell it right here, Malcolm, and then in the review itself, it says Malcolm. Well, let's take a look at this. I'm going to pull this up on my computer so you can see it. Here again is the review. Okay, so they spell it Malcolm there, but up here it's Malcolm. Which one is it? Well, we're going to decide. Okay, so how to actually index this article? I'm sorry, this review. How do we index this? So, one thing that I've learned over the years, I used to use Library Master. We still have some indexers who use that. Then I switched to the web form, and Sarah can talk about that, why I switched. I see you smiling, Sarah. I lost, gosh, I don't even know. Sarah, do you have an idea how much we lost with that? I'm going to go with hundreds of reviews and also some articles that I had sent in. Um, it was weeks and weeks and weeks of work. So it was a lot. Let's just put it that way. So I had to go back and redo all of that work. So the good thing with a text editor, if you're using a PC, I highly recommend Notepad++. So if I can make the switch, you can too. And I'll also speak for Doug. I don't know if Doug has made it in yet today or not, but Doug has made the switch as well. And I showed him how easy this is, how powerful it is, things that you can do like searching and replacing. Um, it's just so much easier. So there's a Mac version as well. It's called Text Edit. We've got several linked on the ACL LibGuide for indexers. So if you have not taken a look at this LibGuide recently, we've updated it fairly recently. Here it is. That indexing submission form is still there. I think we still have people who use it. Here again, I don't recommend it. I recommend that you use these text templates here for articles and for reviews. So if you pull up the one for reviews, all you have to do is copy this information and then paste it into Notepad++. And let me slide that over. Can y'all see this now on my screen? I had it on a second screen just so you could see. So first of all, let's start by talking about Notepad++. And I have several templates saved on my computer because I index several different journals. So for example, I have an articles template, just a generic template. And then I've got some for the various journals that I do, like Baptist History and Heritage, for example. And I always do two records. I'll copy and paste two. That way, if I forget something that I've done or if I make a mistake, I know that I've got it right underneath here. That's just something that I do, just so I don't get lost indexing again, and just so I can keep track of what I do. Okay. So again, you can add more fields as needed. Just copy and paste this. Make sure that you leave that space between each unique entry, meaning it starts with journal article and it ends with URL. Make sure you've got a line in between. Okay. So again, I highly, highly recommend Notepad++. And here's the URL for that as well. Okay, so back to the slideshow here. You can see what I've done. This is my generic reviews template, and I've filled out all of the common information for each review. Common information meaning the title of the journal, which is Priscilla Papers. Notice we use those brackets for each field. So Priscilla Papers is one field there in the journal. Field volume, volume 21, issue 1, the month and the season, and we've got prescribed things that we use for the seasons. We basically use 3 months for January, JAN, February, FEB, so forth. We've got those on the LibGuide. I'll show you that in a little bit. And then the last field that's the common information is the year. Okay, so the rest of the information I'll have to enter manually. For example, the author, the title, and the pages and the URL. So since this one is an open journal, it's going to have a URL for each field. Now we're going to talk about the URL because sometimes you can have a PDF. This one does not have a PDF directly to the review. So there is a PDF of the whole journal. And so which one do you enter? I'll show you that in just a minute. So again, that's everything that I'm going to enter on that reviews template. Copy and paste it as needed. So as I said, I actually have two of these. So what I would suggest is save this if you're going to be indexing something over and over again. Say you've got your own title that you index, like I just showed you with Baptist History and Heritage and some of the others. Save it as a template. So you can save that articles template or a reviews template. Make sure that you save them separately, a separate file, and then be sure to use something that's conventional so that I can figure out what you've entered, so that Sarah can figure out what you've entered, Laura, Lori, Doug. Since we move files back and forth, things can get very complicated if you name it, XQ3 period capital Z, something like that. Please don't do that. um, so save your template, um, and then save the file with a name such as, and you can see what I've done for this one, Priscilla Papers 21 to Winter 2007 Reviews. So does that make sense so far to everyone? And if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I can't see the chat, so if you have a question, please just let one of the other facilitators know, and we'll answer those questions. Okay, so let's talk about some guidelines for reviews. Of course, we have guidelines as librarians and as CPI indexers. All of this is from the Indexer's LibGuide, and we do have a whole section on reviews. So let's talk about what do we actually include. Include any review which is at least 1/2 column in length. So if something is really short, there's one sentence that says Zondervan has published a new NIV Bible. We don't include that. That's not really a review. So this is fairly generic as far as what is 1/2 of a column. If you see 2 or 3 sentences that talks about a specific book, sure, go ahead and include it. If you think that that's informative, that's our basic guideline for what to include. So reviews of a book series go under the series name. So say, for example, a journal or a magazine looks at the Word Biblical Commentary. That's a whole series of books. Enter that series name. So we're going to index individual books in the series if they are dealt with individually. So say, for example, Word Biblical Commentary number 1, Genesis, would go as Genesis. How do you enter that title? We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. The next point here, review essays that are merely long book reviews are indexed as individual reviews. So if you have a question about what to index or what not to index, please let us know and we'll be happy to answer that for you. Okay, so the fourth point on this slide, this is a long one, but it's very important. An entry can also be indexed as an article. So that does happen. What's an instance of that? Well, if there's an overall theme in a journal, if they're looking at something like that, you can enter that as an article and as a review. So if that confuses you at all, please let us know. I do that occasionally. Lori, I know you've seen several of those as well. It does happen. So if you have a question about that, shoot an email to me or to Lori, Sarah, Carrie Beth, someone on the team, and we'll be happy to answer that for you. If you have a question about if it's a review, please let me know. If you have a question about is it an article, let Lori know, let Doug know. We'll be happy to answer that for you. So if it's up to 4 books as an overall discussion, it should be indexed as an article. And then you would add each title as an entry for the book. How does that work? Lori's going to talk about this in her section in a couple of days, next Friday. But it would be author's last name, comma, first name, and then the title of the book. Right? We'll go into much more detail about this later. So, and then you can add a subdivision dash dash book reviews if there are more than 4 books. So if the books are not being reviewed, you can use the subdivision dash dash bibliography. If there are more than 4 books, no author or title. Whoops, I'm sorry, I hit the wrong key there. So if the title of the review is different than title of the book being reviewed, enter that review title in the title field of the article template. So again, if you have any questions about that, just let us know. Okay, some other generic guidelines for entering reviews do not include publisher blurbs, and I've already given you some examples of that. Citations with 1 or 2 sentence summaries, longer essays, those should all be included in that article section. I had one yesterday that was called The Bible in America, a review essay. And I entered that as an article, not as a review, because it was a list of about 50 books. And that's not really the purpose of a review. Okay, so that would be a review article. And if you want to see this for yourself, we've got a whole section again in the LibGuide, and I've got the link here for this section right here on this slide. These slides will be posted, so you'll be able to come back and refer to those. And we're also recording this today as well, so you'll be able to come back and refer to this. Okay, so let's dive into LC authorities. I've already pulled this up so we can see it, but if you've got a computer and you want to go there yourself, this is our authority that we use for everything in CPI. This is from the Library of Congress, and it's authorities.loc.gov. Now, let me stop right here and say I do like id.loc.gov. Lori's going to talk about that in her session. You can use both to find names. You can use both to find subjects. For today, for simplicity, I recommend authorities.loc.gov. So again, the manual on page 10 has instructions for input, data input for this. So let's go out to LC authorities. I'll say too, if you've done this over the years, LC authorities times out after about 5 minutes. So you see, I've already pulled it up over here, and if I try to do a search, it's going to say, "Oh well, you timed out." I see that multiple times every day, so that gets kind of old. So if you think, "Oh gosh, I've got this great record," make sure you find it and copy it and paste it into Notepad++ before you lose it, because if you try to go back, it's just going to say, sorry, you've timed out. So click Search Authorities, and this is where you can input a name. And so let's go back to our review and figure out what we need to enter here. So here again are some guidelines for entering the author field. We'll come back to LC authorities in just a few minutes. So we're going to enter each author on a separate line. And again, in LC format. So LC format means from the page where we just were on LC authorities. Be sure to check the Library of Congress name authority file for the correct form. What if it's not there? That happens all the time. I would appreciate it as your editor if you would put the name in LC form, last name, comma, first name, and then give me a note. Put a couple of asterisks there and just put not in LC after your heading. That's going to tell me, hey, I looked, but it's not there. And sometimes this does happen. Sometimes by the time that you've entered your review and checked and it's not there, I'll go back and check and it is there. So I will be happy to do that. I would certainly appreciate the note, though. So please put the asterisks there, not an LC. Okay, the next thing that's highlighted, I can't emphasize enough, please include dates, and that would be open dates and close dates for authors with dates in LC headings. I got a bunch of records from Sarah. I think it was Monday or Tuesday. Sarah, you sent me a bunch. And I can always tell who checks authorities and who does not. And it doesn't take me very long because, again, I've been a cataloger for a lot of years. I've been editor for a number of years, and it takes me about a twinkle of an eye, and I can tell who does and who does not. So let's break this down. If you're not a cataloger, what does it mean by open date? That would be Wilkes, comma, Jamie, comma, 1973 dash. Okay, I was born in 1973. I'm 51 years old. Okay, that tells you I'm still alive, right? If it's uh, Smith, comma, Bob, comma, 1920 dash 2020, Bob lived a long, happy life, right? But he has a closed date. Okay, so there's a number, a dash, and a number. That's what we mean by closed dates. Be sure to include those dates in your indexing. I would appreciate it so much. So we can't stress that point enough. If you don't remember anything else we talk about today, please remember to check dates and include those in your indexing. Please, 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 and thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, if the title is an edited work, what does that mean? If there's no author, but then it says edited by X, Y, and Z, then we use the OCLC format for the editor or the editors. This goes in the author field, but we don't put ED period or compiler period, editor, anything like that. Again, I see this all the time. And if you enter that information and don't put dash dash not in LC, then I'm going to scratch my head and then I'm going to go check LC authority and then I'm going to make sure that I get the right heading for the person that you've entered. Reviews of sound recordings performed by various artists leave the author field blank. For reviews of children's books with an illustrator, we do add the illustrator as an added author. Again, don't put Wilkes, comma, Jamie, comma, ILL. That doesn't really help me. I have to just hit the backspace button a couple of times and delete that information that you've added. So again, please search authorities. Please use their authority record, and that makes me happy. Okay, so let's take a look now at this author, and I've already kind of talked about this. Is it Malcolm with an M or Malcolm? So I can't see the chat, but I think you've already figured out that it's Malcolm, Malcolm. And again, this is on page 29. How do I know that it's on page 29? Let's go back here and I want to show you the review. So do you see a page number anywhere on this review? I don't, but I know that it's on page 29. How do I know this? Back on the page, and let me pull up Priscilla Papers again. And I'm scrolling down to 2008, and I think it was number 1. Each issue here has a link that says download PDF. So if I download the PDF and go down, and it's on page 29. Yeah, I pulled the wrong issue. I'm sorry, y'all. But just trust me, they do all of their reviews at the end of this issue. And again, it's on page 29. So, do you include uh, a PDF link? Well, you could because there is a link. And okay, this is the right page now. Um, and I'm sorry, y'all. I pulled up the wrong one just a minute ago. Here's winter 2007. And now I'll scroll down and 29 is right here. So you could copy that link right there, but again, that's for the whole issue. We prefer that you get down to the article level, or in this case, the review level. So that um, link is going to be right here, and you can just right click and then copy the link address. I'm using Chrome. Um, anyway, on other browsers, you could just copy the link or something like that. It's going to give you the correct URL. Okay, so that's how I know it's on page 29. So, and now let's go forward. I've already got this on my slides here from Malcolm, comma, Carrie Torgeson, comma, 1925-2014. So it's really simple. Just highlight this, copy it, and then paste it. And you can see here's the text template in Notepad++, and that's how I would enter that name, again with the dates, because it tells me that's the authorized heading. Do you see above this, and Lori's going to talk about this in her session as well, if you just had Malcolm, comma, Carrie Dorgeson, comma, 1925 dash. That's not correct. A authorized heading, that's the one that we want. Okay. So any questions? I'll stop right here and ask again. Do we have questions? And I'm sorry, I can't see the chat. So if you've entered in the chat, hopefully you're getting answered by one of the other editors.
Jamie, I think we've answered most of the questions that are in there. There was a question about what is the OCLC format for editors, and
Oh,
we
okay.
explained that we use the LC authorities and we
Mm-hmm.
did not use a qualifier like edit.
Yes, that is correct. Thanks, Lori. Okay, so let's keep moving forward. So the title, enter the title of the book or the other material. It could be a CD, could be a website, something like that. Make sure that you check it in OCLC. Again, the link for OCLC is right here. That's search.worldcat.org. That's free. As long as you have web access, you've got access to OCLC. So we use WorldCat and OCLC kind of interchangeably. You might hear WorldShare or some other terms. They basically all go to the same place. So we're going to check each title in WorldCat, OCLC, WorldShare, whatever, and you use that format for the title. Okay, if there is no record in OCLC, trust me, again, it happens all the time. Give me a note, okay, and I'll go back and check when I see your indexing. Just put two little asterisks, not in OCLC, after uh, either the author's name or after the title, something like that. Give me some sort of note there so I'll know to be sure to check this, okay? If the book being reviewed is one volume of a set, meaning there's multiple volumes and it only only reviews one volume, give me the title as it appears in OCLC, and then give me something in parentheses, V period space one. That tells me it's only reviewing volume one of this set. Okay, so I told you something else a few minutes ago about dates and authors, and I highlighted that. Again, if I could ask everyone to do this, that would be wonderful. If the book reviewed is part of a series, then include the series. So I've given you a screenshot here from WorldCat. This book is not part of a series. Okay, so Building Your Family to Last, and it kind of looks like it might have had a series right up here at the top. Um, I'd love to see the actual book in hand. Um, and the reason I say that, I'm going to show you another review from another issue, and it looks very similar to this one, and it is part of a series. So when you search in WorldCat, you'll have to click Show More Information. If this book had been part of a series, it would say right here where it says physical description, over here would be the series. So the physical description in this case tells me this book is not part of a series, or at least in OCLC, it is not part of a series. I'd love to see the actual book and then we can decide that. Excuse me. But again, in the highlighted part, if the book is part of a series, then include the series. And I've given you an example here. Here's a looks like probably a Bible commentary, Revelation for Everyone, period, space, parentheses, New Testament for Everyone. I added this note from last year's presentation. If a book is part of two series, and you might be scratching your head, how does that happen? Can a book be part of two series? Well, yeah. And I think I've even seen a few that are part of three series. So that's kind of strange, but it does happen. So if it's part of two series, enter both series. And I've given you an example. I think this one came from Carrie Beth, one of the things that she had done. So here's the title, space colon space. We'll say that a lot too. Again, that comes from OCLC. Subtitle, period, space, parentheses. Library of Hebrew Bible / Old Testament. That's the name of the series. That's not two series, okay? And then a space, and then parentheses again, T&T Clark Library of Biblical Studies, close parentheses. So it can happen. If you had a third one, just put a space and then other parentheses as well. If the book reviewed is a part of a serial, use this format for entering the series title and volume number. So a series, or a serial in this case, it's Tyndale New Testament Commentaries, comma, space, 11. Okay, don't put in V period or book or whoops. Hello, here's my cat. He hopped up on my computer. um, sorry, y'all. So again, don't enter V or book or anything like that. Just enter the series and then the number. Any questions about that? We're going to do this ourselves in some of the other sessions. So if you have questions about that, if it's part of a series, part of a serial, um, we're going to look at some of those, okay?
Jamie, we do have a
Yes.
quick question
Hmm.
here about that.
Okay.
Relating to books, what is the difference between series and serials?
Oh, yeah, good question. So a series is part of a book, a series, like in this case, Tyndale New Testament commentaries. Um, a serial could be a magazine, journal, anything like that. So those terms are used interchangeably. In this case, it's part of a series, and that series is Tyndale New Testament commentaries. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's keep moving. So, how would you enter the title for the book review that begins on page 29? Well, you know that you're going to search OCLC. And again, it's Building Your Family to Last. Notice here on the PDF, it has a capital Y, it's got a capital F, and a capital L. Same thing on the cover of the book, but WorldCat does not have that. Okay. And here is the review as I entered it, Building Your Family to Last with a lowercase y, a lowercase f, and a lowercase l. So again, that came directly from WorldCat. And let me show you WorldCat. So I'm looking for Building Your Family to Last. And this is the next one we're going to do. had already pulled that one up. Building your family to last. And I should get the one that is by Carrie Torgeson Malcolm. Again, Malcolm. And you can see there's an ebook record. I can look at formats and editions to see there are a couple of different editions of this book. So you see the date here. One says 1987, one's 2006. So I'm looking at this 2006 edition because notice this issue was from 2008, I believe. So they're looking at that specific edition. So, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, I'm going to click Show More Information. And again, there is no series here. It just goes directly to physical description. So I'm going to go with that. This book is not part of a series. So I'm going to copy that and then paste it into my Notepad++ file. And again, you can see the one that I've already done right here. That's right here. So there is a second review in this issue. We'll look at that in a minute, okay? But for now, let's talk about the reviewer's name. A lot of people get confused because we do say last name, comma, first name quite frequently. But for the reviewer, we do not enter their name that way. You don't have to search LC authorities for the reviewer either. So we're going to enter the reviewer's name as it appears in the journal. And I've highlighted this in direct order. What does that mean? It's not Wilkes, comma, Jamie. It's Jamie space Wilkes. So if you have no reviewer, just leave it blank. That's okay. And you don't have to say no reviewer or there is no review for this book or anything like that. Just leave it blank. That's okay. If you have multiple reviewers, that does happen. Enter the names with a comma and a space between each name. So John Q. Smith, Jane Doe, John Q. Smith Jr., comma, etc. Okay, so you can see, and I did a screenshot here from that web page. It's Kelvin Belfon. So there's only one name here. Again, it's not Belfon, comma, Kelvin. It's just exactly as it appears, Kelvin Belfon. So hope that helps you with entering the reviewer's name. Again, you don't have to search LC authorities. Again, it's not last name, comma, first name, just as it appears. Okay, let's talk about the URL. So I mentioned this a few minutes ago about the PDF version that we prefer down to the article level, in this case, the review level. So for online-only journals with those stable URLs, meaning you didn't search EBSCO for this, it's not a title that's behind a paywall, something that you buy at your library and you only have access at your library. This is open for everyone. And in this case, this one is open. It's free. So enter that URL in the URL field. So we prefer it down to the article level. You can enter the URL for the journal homepage, but we prefer it down to the article level. So again, only for open access, don't prefer it for selected access. Selected access is what I was just saying, something you pay for. And finally, please do include the HTTP or HTTPS protocol. So not just www, but the whole URL. The next point here, the fourth point, we were talking about this yesterday amongst ourselves on the CPI team. If you've entered a DOI, it's not necessary to enter anything in the URL field. So Carrie Beth was saying she had something that was open access and it had a DOI, or did not have a DOI, it only had the URL. Which one do you do? The DOI is preferred. Okay, so you don't have to enter both. So again, I copied and pasted that URL and I'm ready to save this or then I'm ready to submit it. Okay, so we've done one review. Let's take a look at the next one. And this is the TNIV Study Bible by Aida Bezanson Spencer. And I've given you the URL here, which I can copy and paste into my template. And let's go back to OCLC and look for the TNIV Study Bible. And I wanted to show you this one because it's a little tricky. Okay, so I look for TNIV Study Bible. Well, the first thing that comes up is Zondervan TNIV Study Bible, today's New International Version. Well, is that right? Or is this one right? It just says TNIV Study Bible. Well, that's what the journal said, right? So how do I know? Well, wait, here's a third one, Zondervan TNIV Study Bible, and there's no subtitle. So which one is the right one? Good question, right? How do I know? Well, look at this one. Oh, that title looks very similar, but it's different. Okay, so notice the cover has that same look with the red and the beige coloring there, but it's Zondervan TNIV Compact Concordance, not the right one. So there's three different records here. How do you know which one is the right one? Well, I got an email this week from OCLC saying that they're doing a duplicate title um, deduping. So they're trying to get rid of some of these duplicate records. And this is a prime example of duplicate records. Which one is right? So let's look at the first one. Zondervan TNIV Study Bible, space colon space, today's New International Version. And notice that it says right here, this is a giveaway to me, one edition in 60 libraries. And it's pulling the most, or the closest one to me geographically. And Carrie Beth was happy to see this one because notice her library has it correct here, Johnson University Library. Erskine's got it right. Covenant College has it right. So I've already told you which one is right. It's this first record. Let's go back though and look at the other records. TNIV Study Bible. Notice again, it's not Zondervan TNIV Study Bible, and I don't see a subtitle on this one. There's one edition in 12 libraries. Well, notice Cedarville has this record. They should probably fix this. And it will get fixed by OCLC at some point when they merge these records together. Let's look at the third one, Zondervan TNIV Study Bible. And again, this has 7 editions in 513 libraries. So this, again, is the correct title. So I told you the one at the beginning, Zondervan TNIV Study Bible, a lot of people have decided there is no subtitle on this one because it's already there, Zondervan TNIV Study Bible. So we don't need a subtitle. So I I might choose this record without the subtitle. Um, anyway, it will get fixed eventually. And if you see something wonky, trust me, it happens all the time. I got a record uh, one day this week, and someone said, "This is not right. This is what they have in OCLC, but it's not right." Well, how do you know that? Well, if you look at the book in hand and here's what it says, then OCLC has a process where you can enter that and it will get fixed. So you can talk to a cataloger at your library. They can get that fixed for you or send us a message on the team and we'll be happy to review that for you. Okay, so in this case, is it Zondervan TNIV Study Bible or just TNIV Study Bible? Well, I believe it's Zondervan TNIV Study Bible. So you can see on the record here, I've got the author's names. I've searched LC authorities. I've got all 3 authors here. Here's Zondervan TNIV Study Bible. And I included the subtitle. Um, I might want to look at that again, but for now, that's how I have entered this. Notice the reviewer's name. I left off the accents that were in her name. Did you notice she had an accent grave? She had a cedille. We don't enter that information in our indexing. So just the name with no special characters. So Aida Bezanson Spencer is the reviewer. Okay, so you might have noticed these are kind of old examples. So how did we actually index these two reviews in CPI? So here are these two records as they appear in the database. So notice we did not include the subtitle on Zondervan TNIV Study Bible. Notice we've got the author's names. Notice on the reviewer's name, instead of Kelvin Belfon, we had K Belfon. That's how we used to enter things. That's how we did it back in 2007. So as standards change, we have to change, and we are aware of that. Okay, so how did we do on this? I think we did okay. So let's try one more. As we're winding down here, this is a different issue now. So I wanted to choose this one, Winter 2006, because there's a little tricky review in this one. So notice a name here, Aida Bezanson Spencer. That's the one we just looked at, right? Notice the title here is Global Voices on Biblical Equality. Okay, so here is the review. I've got the URL here for that. Here's the issue, and here's the WorldCat record for this. So first of all, I'm going to pull up the review. And here's that review. And I would want to get that page number again from the PDF. This is the whole issue. So here's where I can download the PDF to get the page number. And then thirdly, here's the WorldCat record. So I wanted to show you this one because here's Global Voices on Biblical Equality, space, colon, space, women and men ministering together in the church. Now I'm going to click Show More Information. And notice this one is part of a series. And I'm very curious about the one that we just did, if it's actually part of the House of Prisca and Aquila series. Notice the title here on the cover, and it's very small print, so I don't know if that's the subtitle, but I'm guessing that it is. But right up here, and again, it's very small, I'm pretty sure that's the series. So if you have a question about that, please let us know. But I'm guessing that previous review that we just did is part of this same series. So how would you enter the author's names for the review that begins on page 29? Well, we've got basically the same authors here. What do I do with the accent marks? Again, leave those off. No accent grave, no say deal. Okay, this one has a different author though, Haddad, Mimi. And that name is not in LC authorities. So what do I do? Well, let's go back and I'll show you in LC authorities, and I'm guessing it's timed out. Yep, it has. Haddad, Mimi. Well, that's Haddad, but it's Mamoon, Eloise Haddad Mamoon. Not the right person, right? So what do I do? Well, you can see what I did here. I put last name, first name because that's LC format, and I gave my editor, hello, I'm my own editor, dash asterisk asterisk not in LC. So I'm doing my due diligence here to let the editor know, hey, I looked, I got these names. So Aida Bezanson Spencer again left off those accent marks. Spencer, William David, 1947 dash is LC authority for his name, but Mimi Haddad does not have an LC authority record. Here's the title again, space colon space, subtitle, period, space, series name in italics. Notice this one says House of Prissa and Aquila series. I'm not just entering the word series because it is a series. I'm entering the word series because that is in the name of the series. So make sure you're clear about that. If it says Word Biblical Commentary Series, enter it. If it's just Word Biblical Commentary, do not add that word. Okay. So take it exactly as it appears in OCLC in WorldCat. Okay. So Priscilla Papers, Volume 22, Issue 4, page 29. The month, or the series in this case, is AUT for autumn. The year is 2008. Here's the reviewer's name, KJ Hyun, and the URL. So that's how I indexed this review. So, how did we actually do this review in CPI? Here's again a screenshot from Global Voices on Biblical Equality, space, women and men serving together in the church. Well, where's the series? It's there. I just can't see it right here. So let me pull up CPI and let me copy that title, Global Voices on Biblical Equality. Okay, so notice that this one is the Journal for Biblical Manhood and Womanhood. That's not my journal that I'm looking at. I'm looking for Priscilla Papers, and here it is. Well, where's the series? It's not there. So we missed that one, or at least it was not there when this was cataloged. Again, this is from 2008. So it should be there, right? Because it's in OCLC. Where is it? Well, Carrie Beth indexes this one. So um, I'm sure you would have pulled that in, Carrie Beth, if you had known that it was part of that series, but it's not there. So anyway, that does happen. So anyway, we can only do the best we can with what we have. So let me stop sharing my screen and let me tell you thank you for your participation. And we've got about, what, 7 minutes, I guess, for questions. So feel free to shoot any more questions you have our way.
While we're waiting on questions, I do want to introduce one more member of the team that I accidentally overlooked earlier, and that's Laura Ladwig, and she is our secretary slash proofreader. So she is kind of the first person who looks at the indexing for articles that are current. Do
So
we
do we
have
have any
any
questions?
questions? I know we have answered several over in the side, and I mentioned that a lot of times when you're looking at reviews and you're looking and you see both print and digital editions, a lot of times the print records are better records because the vendors often do the cataloging for the electronic versions, and they're notorious at doing a bad job making them sloppy. Um, and I also mentioned over on the side that sometimes those series are in the title authorities file as well. So you might actually look there. If you have a question about something and you're not actually seeing a series, and maybe the actual article that you have in hand list identifies the series that's with it, but it's not in the catalog record, you could look at that title authority file and see if there is a record for that. Any other questions, comments?
I was just
Anyone
looking
on the
through the
team have anything to add?
I was just looking through the chat and I noticed the question that Jennifer Nicholson had. I have reached out to publishers. Sometimes they will say, "Wow, thank you for letting us know." We're keenly aware of how we're pulling information from the publisher's website, and sometimes they may genuinely not know. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, wow, you're indexing our journal. We appreciate that." Um, Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, yeah, we'll fix that right away." And sometimes we hear crickets. So you just never know. But that's a great question. We should definitely follow up with that. And we do follow up as much as we can. You're welcome. And I see several comments about Matthew. He is sound asleep right behind me. Lori, I saw your comment about the title authority file about that
Yes.
series. Thank you for that too. Anyone else have any questions? We've got about 2 or 3 minutes left. I'm seeing lots of thank yous, so you're
Yes.
welcome. And thank you for joining us today too. And please come
Thank
back for our next few sessions over the next Fridays in February.
Yes. Next week we will be talking about articles and we'll take a look at some of those and try to use a variety of types that will hopefully interest you.
Okay, well, I'm not seeing any more questions, so thank you for coming today, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day and a good weekend. And take care, and we'll see you hopefully again next Friday.